Okay, as we continue into more sad, depressing, dark theories of TV shows and films regarding promoted to children, let's do Disney Pixar's Up. Okay, so there's three articles. Each article has a bit that I want to explore or go over with, and then the third one pretty much ties all three up pretty nicely. So let's get into it. Where is it at? And let's go. All right. So, Carl, in the beginning, Carl is a young boy. He meets a young, adventurous girl named Ellie. Ellie is everything Carl isn't. She's outgoing, fun loving, and wants to see the world. Specifically, she wants to go to Paradise Falls. Paradise Falls, keyword. An amazing waterfall in Brazil. Carl and Ellie grow up and get married. They agree that they'll visit Paradise Falls when the time is right. They save and save. They try to start a family, but it doesn't work out. The two make peace with being a childless couple and focus on their dreams of travel. But every time they get close to having enough cash, something happens. They have unexpected expenses that always get in the way of their dream. In the end, it's too late. Ellie passes and Carl's alone. Second theory goes now, Carl Fredrickson dies in his sleep after he is notified that he needs to leave his beloved house and move to a retirement home. Therefore, everything that happens in the film represents the afterlife. Then you ask about Russell, the little Boy Scout. Russell represents Carl's guardian angel who is trying to get to earn his wings and final badge by helping him. Also, Russell took the form of a little boy to make up for Carl and his wife's Ellie inability to have children on their own. Now let's get to the final, and I think the best article that represents it all. Okay, here we go. So the raising of the house represents Carl's initial transition from the physical world to the spiritual world. He rises up the same way as people who have near-death experiences relate the feeling of floating above their body and watching as the doctors resuscitate it. Russell represents Carl's guardian angel, or perhaps more accurately, a spiritual guide of sorts who is trying to earn his wings by helping Carl with his transition. Russell has earned many badges and is very close to getting his final badge, thus earning his wings. His final badge requires him to help a senior citizen. This makes sense. Russell's other badges were preparing him in various ways for the final test, which is is complete, and he becomes a true guardian angel. Russell's innocence and devotion show his purity, and the example he sets through the purity helps Carl see the error in his ways of thinking. Several times in the movie, you see Carl change his actions in direct response to Russell's response and actions. You could also add that Russell, as the guardian angel, took the form of a child to fulfill Carl and Ellie's inability and desire to have children. Now, Kevin, the bird, also represents a higher calling, a muse, something that Carl can aspire to that's beyond his own desires and wishes. Russell would be fully aware of what Kevin is. At first, Carl couldn't care less about Kevin and wants to leave it behind, but Russell eventually shows Carl some of the better aspects of Kevin. Kevin's love of chocolate is a metaphor for the small rewards that are earned along the way of pursuing a higher calling. The fact that Kevin is rarely around when Carl needs him and often around when Carl doesn't want him to be is also indicative of a higher calling. A muse-like inspiration rarely strikes when it wants to. By the end of the movie, Carl has come to accept and protect Kevin, and thereby accepting his own higher purpose in life, and afterwards, even if he doesn't fully understand it. Now, we know that Doug's translation collar is impossible even in the context of the movie reality, so there's another clue that's what's happening on screen isn't really happening in the movie's reality. It's just another part of the Carl's transition. But Doug, the dog, himself represents a metaphor for transition, the change from one state to the other. Doug was Muntz's dog, but switched to Carl and Russell's side. Doug was the bottom-ranking dog, but became alpha, and through the transition collar, Doug bridged the gap between animal and human, in the same way that Doug is helping Carl to bridge the gap between life and afterlife. Now, Muntz is evil. Muntz is a fallen angel for all intents and purposes. He is a fallen angel, resplendent upon a story of lies at first and commanding the hounds of hell. Muntz wants to destroy Kevin for his own glory. and personal satisfaction in the same way that Lucifer wants to destroy all that is good, biblically speaking. Carl's soul is the prize here. If Muntz destroys the higher calling, then Carl falls into despair and Muntz wins. The house itself represents Carl's attachment to the physical world, with Paradise Falls being Carl's perceived representation of heaven. And with the house finally landing at Paradise Falls, Carl has finally finished his transition and completed his greatest adventure, presumably reuniting with Ellie in heaven. And then also it says everyone pretty much surmises that Carl Fredricksen died in his sleep the night after he returns from court with the order that he must vacate to a retirement home as a result of the incident with the construction worker in the mailbox, because he hit him with the cane, if you remember that movie. So that is 3 similar fan theories of the movie Up. I mean, you watch it, you pretty much know what it is, because physically you can't attach balloons to make a house fly away. But Disney is always multi-layered their movies. There's always different meanings. And I mean, Disney is some pretty dark stuff for a children's film. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Matter of fact, I hope it makes you go watch it again, so to see if you can confirm or deny some of these fan theories. Y'all have a good one. Peace.